I've had a lot of jobs over the years. Some of them were good, most of them were okay, and a few were just terrible. A good job is one that leaves its mark on you. Sometimes, though, you leave your mark on a bad job. That's what I want to talk about today. One of my first jobs was at a 24-hour convenience store along the Jersey Shore. It was a chain of stores all along the coast that had a deli, pharmacy, and claimed fresh coffee every 20 minutes. We were also located in a part of town that everyone who wanted to go to the beach had to pass right in front of the store. So over the summers, business was non-stop. During the daytime, it wasn't too bad. But when night hit, ugh. Let me tell you a little bit about the store first. My section was usually the deli/coffee area. There was a deli counter over here where people could order sliced meats and sandwiches and all that. And there was a coffee section over here where we had 12 pots of regular coffee and 6 special blends. Normally you'd have 2 people working the area, one in the deli and one in the coffee. On really busy days, you'd have 2 in the deli and 1 just on coffee. This is all important for later, trust me. Anyway, it was the middle of summer. The big summer fest was happening down at the beach, and people from all over had come for it. That meant they all had to pass by the store. This particular day also happened to be my birthday. Birthday in the middle of summer, gifts every 6 months, woo! Seeing how it was my birthday, I had asked off weeks ahead of time. They had approved it. Naturally, my birthday comes, and at 10 a.m. they call me in. I wasn't happy, but I needed the money, and my boss promised they'd give me another day off later. They never did. No, I didn't forget about that, John! Anyway, they seemed desperate, so I went in. I get there, and there's only one other person working. Dude, what's going on? Everyone called out, there's no one else here! So I clock in, and I rush over to the deli area. Now, usually the customers are okay. They mostly understood that we were human, and we were just trying our best. But these customers weren't normal. These customers weren't human. These customers were tourists. Before I was even in my area, people were yelling at me. I was kind of used to that already, so I just tossed on my apron and went to work. The deli itself isn't too bad. You make the orders as they come in, but the coffee... Because the store's big selling point is that they brew fresh coffee every 20 minutes, every one of the pots is numbered and connected to a timer. The timer looks like this. When you start a pot, you hit that number on the timer and it begins counting down. You know when a timer's done because the machine makes a beep boop kind of noise. It's super annoying, I know. The thing is, if more than one timer go off, they all make that same noise and they stack. Now, I know what you're saying. Well, Scott, it's summer. Surely people can't be going that crazy over coffee. Coffee's hot. I'm here to tell you that yes. Yes, they can. And don't call me Shirley. Anyway, I spent the better part of the next 10 hours juggling the deli and coffee as best I could. Except for the 3 minutes I spent in the walk-in cooler crying when nobody could find me. By this point in the day, I hadn't had a break, hadn't had anything to eat, and had been yelled at for my entire birthday, and my last nerve was about to break. I'm at the deli counter when a group of tourists walk in, and they all start shouting their orders at me at once. At the same time, a group of fishermen head over to the coffee section, and all start yelling about the coffee. I'm trying to run back and forth and juggle as much as going off, and then the timers start going off. Finally, it all becomes too much. I take the knife in my hand, slam it into the cutting board of the deli, walk over to the coffee timer, and punch it as hard as I can. Sorry, one more minute for coffee. We can wait. I walk back over to the deli, pick up the knife, and I'm about to cut the sandwich when the timer goes off again. Only this time, instead of beep boo, it's going and then it all hits me at once. The sheer absurdity of the world all falls down around me, and I can't help but start laughing. The customers probably saw things differently, because they had just witnessed somebody snap, stab a counter, punch a coffee timer, picked the knife back up and is now waving it around while laughing like a maniac. Everyone pretty much just left after that. Eventually, thankfully, the night finally ended and I went home. It wasn't too long after that I moved out of state. Since then, I've had a lot better jobs, and I'm super thankful for that. People who can work and sustain working in food service and retail are heroes. I will fight anyone that says different. Anyway, a few years ago I went back home to visit my family, and while I was there we needed a few things, so I went over to the old store. I'm standing in the aisles looking around when all of a sudden I hear and I start losing it again. It had been more than 10 years since I worked in that store, and they still hadn't fixed the timer. For better or worse, I left my mark. That night was one of the most stressful I ever had on a job. Since then, I've tried really hard to make sure that when I go to work, I just leave everything there. That's not to say I haven't had good days or bad days, but I just try to remember that everyone on both sides of the counter is still a person. So, take a breath, relax, and try not to get too stressed about things.